My team closed over 575 deals for our agency and collected over $2 million in cash without my partner or I ever having to hop onto a sales call. And we did it using this simple 7-step sales framework that I'm going to share with you in this video so that you can close more deals, collect more cash with the deals that you do close, build a repeatable sales process that anyone can follow, eliminate the volatility due to you using the art of the close, and eventually remove yourself from your sales process altogether. In today's video specifically, we're going to be covering why you should be using a sales script, the simple $200 trick that can double your close rate, proof and why you should be listening to me, and a simple 7-step sales framework that's allowed us to close 575 deals and bring in over $2 million in cash for our agency this year. Now, you might be thinking, but Noah, sales scripts are stupid, they don't work. And trust me when I say, I used to think that as well, and so did my partner. For the longest time, we were running sales teams and they worked. Right? We had good closers, we had good setters, and they were getting the job done, closing 20% plus, bringing in the cash that we needed to run the business. But when things really started to break was when we started to really scale those sales teams up. And the other thing that was a real challenge was when we brought on new talent, it was very hit or miss. We relied so much on the art of the close and just general luck of the draw when we onboarded these new closers. And whether or not they had the soft skills, we were dependent so much on their individual internal state. They might be having a bad week, maybe their girlfriend broke up with them, maybe their mom was having a tough week and was screaming at them on the phone in the morning. And all these individual factors then trickled down and affected our ability to actually be efficient as a business. And so to double down on this and to give you context into what I mean, between June and November of 2024, we doubled the prices of our core offer. And when you do this, typically your close rates will take a hit. You'll sell less people, all the while making a little bit more cash and increasing that lifetime value for the customers that you do sell, which makes it worthwhile in the end. Now, the typical scenario is increased price, reduced close rate. In our case, we doubled the price and also doubled our close rates. And we did this simply by making sure that our team was following a process, an objective sales framework that we could analyze, do call review on, and then consistently train and optimize to make our sales process better over time. And what this has allowed us to do is we're now at a place in the business where I don't have to take sales calls, my partner doesn't have to take sales calls, the cash just rolls in. And when we onboard and ramp up new sales talent, all we're doing is making sure that we manage their quality control. Are they following our process? Are they using our scripts to the best of their abilities? And if they are, well, every single sales rep that we've onboarded in the last 6 months has collected at least $50,000 in new cash in the first 30 days of them being on our offer at a over $1,000 net cash per call. That means that every single call they took, they were making our company over $1,000 in net cash. And our average cost per call is between $100 and $250. Now let me show you what this actually looks like. So these are the top 2 closers metrics on our team from June and November. Now, I want to highlight here specifically the difference that a script can make for your offer, changing really no other variables. I do know that these are 2 different people in both months, but the skill set really didn't change. I would actually argue that Cameron and Sebastian had more experience in online sales than Drew and Jaime combined. But with that being said, looking at Cameron in June, $19,700 in cash collected, $1,600 net cash per call, and a 35% show rate. This 35% show rate is terrible, right? Our benchmark for this is at least 70%. If you're below 70%, 65%, potentially you're way far off the mark and we need to work on our show rates. This is so bad because our setters weren't following a framework. If our setters were following a framework, I'll show you what happens in a second. Now, because our closers weren't following a framework as well, 11.11% close rate. This is terrible as well. Benchmark we have here is at least 25%. So we're quite far off the mark. Sebastian, $31,200 cash collected at a $1,300 net cash per call, 45.28% show rate, again, off the mark, and 17.39% close rate. Everything here is off the mark. And it's strictly because nobody in the team was using frameworks because we didn't believe in it. Now, fast forward a few months in November. We had some hard conversations. We realized that we needed to implement a objective sales framework that we can improve on over time. $61,700 cash collected from Drew. $1,200 net cash per call, 67% show rate, getting much better there, and a 31.25% offer to close. Jaime, same thing, $52K cash collected, $1,100 net cash per call, 68.66% show rate, and a 32.43% close rate. So just by changing the script, yes, we changed the talent, but as I said, not much of a difference there. We have doubled our close rates and doubled our show rates. That easy. So if you don't believe me, at least believe our sales script, because this is what we're able to do with our sales framework in-house. You already know we closed 575 clients. You know we did $2 million in cash collected last year. In the last 2 or so weeks, we collected a couple prepayments of $15,000 with our new pricing. We increased it again, by the way. These are 3 prepayments from the first couple of weeks of the month or of the year. But if you still don't believe me and you want to see proof of other people doing this that aren't skilled in sales and haven't built sales teams in the past, well, here's a few examples of people that had 0 prior experience in high ticket sales, that are agency owners, that are using our sales framework word for word and filling it in the blanks with their own agency and offer specifics. Jay in Australia is closing 5.5K PIFs left, right, and center. Zach Murray just started with us, first 10K month, closes 5K PIF using this framework. Mashari, he's 18 years old, he's hitting 30K plus months, starting from 0 in a very, very interesting niche, plumbers, doing $8,000 prepayments, first call closes. If an 18-year-old can do it, that had 0 prior sales experience, and I'd probably argue it's one of his weakest points in his business, you can too. Evan, closing 10K prepayments, same deal here. Young dude, him and his brothers used to be engineers, some of them car salesmen, and we all know how we feel about them, but they're closing $10,000 prepayments using this exact framework. Andrew, another prepayment, right? This is happening, this is possible. There's plenty of other proof from clients that we've worked with, but here's 5 really great examples of people who have very little experience and are making it work with a sales script. Now, before we get into actually reading through the script so that you can just copy it word for word and achieve those 30% plus close rates, obviously no guarantee. If you're an absolute idiot, it's not gonna work. We need to make sure that we have these best practices covered, right? Because you can have the best sales framework in the world, and if you recite it word for word, just like Joe on my left, and Joe on my left has better foundations than you, he's gonna still close better than you. So I wanna cover these, we'll make sure we check these off, and you'll be surprised, even if you're a seasoned sales vet, a lot of these things, you'll probably be missing a couple of them. So number 1, do your pre-interview research and preparation. Search your lead's name up. It's pretty simple, right? If you have setters doing triage and setting calls, make sure that they record those calls. You can use a ChatGPT prompt to quickly sift through the transcript, add that to your lead notes, looking for things like what's their current problem, what are their qualifications, tell me a little bit about their history, what's their dream outcome, what's their short-term goal, so that your closers have all the information they need to get them across the line as efficiently as possible. 2, show up early to the meeting. This is self-explanatory. Nobody likes somebody who's late. If you're gonna be late, make sure you send them a message or get your setters to be on it, reschedule them if they need to. Number 3 is look good, clean shave, collared shirt, hair done. Now, if you're gonna look like an idiot by bringing a collared shirt to your meeting, don't do it. Know your prospect, know your ICP, and dress to impress that person, right? If you're selling blue-collar workers, they probably don't want to see you showing up in a collared shirt. Number 4 is stand up. Take your call standing, not sitting. You're going to be grounded. Your frame will be better. Your confidence will be better. You'll be speaking from a place of authority. This actually talked to me a few years ago, and it's changed everything. I make sure that most of our sales team, if possible, is using standing desks because this does help your close rate. You'd be surprised. Just try it out. Number 5, and probably most importantly, is make sure you have a professional setup. You probably heard this a million times. I can't underscore enough, and I'm going to tell you a story shortly as to why this is so important. But just make sure you have a good light. Make sure your computer is good. Make sure you have a good mic. Your background looks nice, because this will potentially double your close rate if you can get this right. Now, let me tell you a little bit of a story so that you can actually believe how important this is. This is Jose, okay? He's a G. He's one of my favorite guys on our team. He's been with us for about a year now. When we first onboarded him as a closer, the first month using our framework, he collected around $16,000 US in cash collected. Fucking terrible, at around 11% close rate. So he's way far off on all his metrics. And I sat down with him, I said, listen, if we do this for 1 more month, you're not gonna be around here for much longer, right? But I do have one thing that will probably help you out. I saw all of his sales calls and he was looking like this. If I hopped onto a sales call with somebody on their phone wearing a t-shirt with their hair not done, looking scruffy, and this background, he was in Costa Rica in a relatively old house, so it's not the best looking background ever, I probably wouldn't buy, especially if I was looking to buy from somebody that reminded me of a person that I want to be, and I'm about to spend $15,000 to $50,000 on an engagement. I spent $250 with him. We got him a background, we got him a haircut, we got him to change his shirt, right? We got him some good lighting. Behind the scenes, there's a little mic here. So he sounded good, he looked good, he felt good. And within 1 month, right, this is per month, he brought in $17,000 USD in a single week. We didn't change the framework that he was using. We didn't change the number of calls he took. We didn't change the qualification of the calls he took. We just changed his background. I spent $250 to do this. You can go on Amazon and probably do the same thing for around $250 depending on where you are. But this 4x'd the amount of cash he collected in the month. It 4x'd his commissions, and it brought him right up to standard, and that's why he's still with us here today. If you are leading a sales team and your team doesn't want to buy this, buy it for them. It will pay you back a million X. If you are a closer and your company doesn't want to buy it for you, well, make sure you get this figured out because it'll pay you back a million X. Now, with all that out of the way, let's hop into the sales framework. We'll break it down into 7 key sections, and these are the same 7 sections we used to close our 575 clients last year and collect well over $2 million in cash. It's the same framework that all of our clients use, that they've been achieving amazing results with, and it's the same framework that we optimize day in and day out with our internal sales team. So in section 1, it's all about positioning. The key thing here is just making sure that you outline what you're going to do in the call, but more importantly, before that, set good frame. People judge books by their cover as much as you don't want to believe it. So just make sure that when they see your cover, they see you as a New York Times bestseller. They want to take you off the shelf and read you. And hey, if it works out, maybe they'll even buy. So to do this, we're not going to talk about any of this standard BS, the weather, where you live, do you have a dog, how you feeling, do you play tennis? Forget all of that. And the reason why is because take these 2 situations. Situation 1, you talk about all that stuff for 5 minutes and you say, hey, listen, John, I know we didn't come onto this call to talk about the weather, tennis, or your dog, or where you live. So you cool if we just hop into things? What you're telling the prospect is 1, I don't care about what you do, really. I was just doing that because I want to build rapport with you. 2, I don't respect my time. I don't respect your time, which probably means I don't make a lot of money, which probably means you shouldn't be working with me, right? Or in situation 2, we say, John, is my mic coming across all right? Yeah. Okay, great. Well, I know I have limited time here today, so are you ready to hop right into things? Great frame. I respect your time. I respect my time. I'm probably a good person to work with because of it. And I'm not telling you that I don't care about your personal life, even though I probably don't care about your personal life, because we're here to make money, not to be friends. Then we're gonna check to make sure they watched the VSL they sent over. Are they understanding what we're doing? And even if they have watched it all the way through from start to finish, we're still gonna review it with them because people need to hear things repeated to understand them and to remember them. We use these blue sections here so you can fill in the blanks. So if you are watching this and you're trying to copy word for word, just make sure you fill these blanks in with your own company. But first section here, remind them of what you do. Okay, perfect. Yeah, basically we are an agency that specializes in working with painting businesses. Second, right here, we're gonna tell them why we do what we do. Not, I wanna make money. We are working on this engagement, potentially working with you on this engagement so that we can achieve a goal X, Y, and Z. We're in business, we're here to make money. So the way that I like to position this is by saying, we make most of our money and spend most of our time on our Ascension offer, which would be something that's 4 to 5, maybe even 10 times the price of the core offer that you sell on these calls. And the whole purpose of this core offer that we're talking about today is to potentially qualify you and also work together so we can get your business to a point where you do qualify for our core offer and we can establish a much longer term relationship in our business. So what that's going to sound like is transparently, we make most of our money with our Ascension offer, and when we're not focused on that, we're focused on identifying the next best opportunity for that offer through this core service, which basically just helps businesses like you qualify for a minimum criteria of the Ascension offer, insert your qualification criteria by doing X, Y, and Z. Right? Building done-for-you systems for sales, marketing, whatever it is that you do with your service business. Next paragraph is, why should I listen to you? Or why should you listen to me? Now, while our main focus is that offer, we have worked with X number of clients in your industry. We've generated a combined amount, insert your metric, in revenue for them and produced or been featured in notable features. If you don't have these things, if you haven't worked with hundreds of clients, if you haven't generated millions of dollars, or you're not featured in Forbes yet, that's fine. Just fill these in with other things that you can use to build authority. And once you get these, don't lie about them, obviously, you can add them in. The last section here is establishing the reason and the structure of the call. So the purpose of this interview is for us to, 1, understand if your business is ideal for our offer in terms of our ability to get results together, but more importantly, to see if you're a good fit to work with us human to human on a partnership level, because success is just as much about the business owners we work with as the services we provide. Because at the end of the day, we do speak to the number of leads you get each month, 6,000 applicants a month. And honestly, we only end up working the number of clients you close from those leads, 30 clients. We only end up working with 30 of them because there's a lot of people who we just can't do much to help. You know what I mean, right? Great. Frame set. We don't just accept people because they can pay us. We only work with the right qualified clients. And the whole purpose of today's call and why I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions is because I want to make sure you're the right person to work with. Section 2 and Section 3 of this 7-step framework are just basically discovery. So the first thing we're going to do here is recap and make sure we haven't missed anything. You've done your pre-call research, or maybe your setter has taken notes and added them in your CRM. You're reviewing their note document, and you just want to make sure that you guys are on the same page. Did they leave anything out in the conversation? Did you miss anything in your research, right? Awesome. So I took some time to review Joe's call on your last conversation. Just to sum it all up, you're in this situation, you're currently struggling with these problems, and in an ideal world over the next 3 to 6 months, you'd like to achieve this short-term goal, let's call it $50K a month, so that you can achieve this dream outcome, and let's say travel the world and become financially free, right? Did I get that right, or did I miss anything? No, you got it all. Okay, perfect, John. Then we're gonna understand the one thing that they need to hear and solve on this call. This is super important. You want to take note of this because this is what you're going to double down on when you talk about what you do in your service. Great. Now, before we hop into things, I just have one question for you. What is the one thing we can cover today that, independent of us working together, would allow you to walk away from this interview feeling as though it was worth 10 times the time you invested in it? Maybe they're going to say, I need to learn how to fill my calendar up. Maybe they're going to say, I need to learn how to close better, right? Just make sure that throughout the call, you make an emphasis on solving that problem. As you're doing all this, make sure, especially in section 2 and 3, that you are taking note of any red flags. These are things that you know are going to develop into or manifest into objections later on in the call, because there is a section in this framework where we are going to address those as obstacles before we get to the close. Now we're moving into section 3, which is basically reviewing, understanding their current situation, establishing a pain cycle, considering other options, and establishing a value gap. The pain cycle and the value gap are super important. These two things don't come from me, they come from Alex Ramosi. And basically what we're looking to do here with a pain cycle is temporarily increase the pain of a current situation or a problem that somebody's facing, while simultaneously temporarily increasing their desire to achieve a specific goal or outcome. Right? Once you have them in this state, they're in much more of an emotional position, which will put you in a better spot to help them make a decision that will change their business and their life for the better. A value gap is, as you've heard, potentially things like crossing the chasm. I'll draw it up here at the very top of my screen if you can see it. Let's say this is the chasm, a bunch of dead people. Yeah, I'm terrible at drawing. And this is your prospect, right? This is their dream outcome. And what we want to do in the value gap is really underscore how much value do they have to provide to the market? What skill sets are they missing that they're not currently doing? This is the value gap. And then what you're going to want to simply do is position yourself as the bridge to that solution. So you're going to get them to personally self-identify and realize themselves. You're not going to tell them. They need to come to this realization on their own that they're in a bad situation, that they want to get out of it, and that there is a lot of value that they're missing, and that you can help them with whatever service you're selling. That is fundamentally all that sales is about. If you can understand that and do it effectively, you probably don't need any frameworks and you'll be able to close it at 30% rate. So to do this, we're going to double down on understanding their dream outcome. So John, what's so important to you about hitting that 50K month, right? We're going to start by asking 4 questions following up with that. He's going to say, I just always wanted to do it. Okay, and how long have you wanted to achieve it for? 3 years. Cool. And what would achieving that do for your business? I'd be able to remove myself from day-to-day operations, focus on sales, spend more on marketing. Awesome. And if your business was in that position, what would it allow you to do? How would you and your day-to-day change at work? Oh man, it would be great. I wouldn't have to work 15-hour days. I'd be able to have team members, maybe even get a personal assistant. Cool. So it sounds like you'd be in a really great position. And last but not least, and so what would that look like for you lifestyle-wise? Would anything change there outside of work? Notice that we're not raw dogging him and hitting him with number 4 right out the gates, because if you just say, and John, how would that 50K month change your life? He's not going to tell you exactly how it's going to change his life because he's got sales resistance already to the max. What we're doing is getting him to visualize what his business looks like, what his life looks like inside the business, and then he can really see what his life looks like outside the business, right? So start with business at the top, work your way to personal. If you're going to ask personal questions, do this throughout your sales process if you're in B2B. Establish a pain cycle. It's the next thing. How does that $50,000 a month compare to where you're currently at with your business? How far off are you actually, John? Well, I'm currently doing 15K a month. Okay, so we got some work to do. This section, just let it hang. This is a statement. It's not a question. We want him to realize he's got some work to do. And when people have work to do, they usually want some help with it, right? Yeah, Joe, I do have some work to do. Okay, perfect, right? Then, what have you tried so far to overcome your current problem with lead flow so you can achieve that 50K month for the first time? We're going to start to understand some of his other options and really start attacking those pains. Okay, and how long have you been trying to solve those problems for? And why do you think it hasn't worked? And now that we know what needs to happen or change in your business to achieve that 50K a month, what would you have changed about what you tried in the past personally on your end? Well, I probably would have started things faster. Well, I probably would have just jumped the gun and started spending on Facebook ads, not worrying about if I was going to make returns, because I think I do know Facebook ads will work. Everybody else in my industry is doing it. Okay, cool. And if they have worked with somebody else, and what would you have changed about your agency, courses, coaches end? When they answer this, just note it down, right? These are things that we're going to make sure that we can alleviate. These are his fears. These fears are going to be the reason why they don't buy if they are qualified and they do see value in what you provide. These are the things that are going to stop them from getting across the line, so just make sure you note these down. Then we're going to establish the value gap. And what have you been waiting for? You seem like you know what you're doing, John. You're a pretty smart guy, so I'm curious. Why haven't you already made that 50K month a reality? They're going to say something surface level, something about their business. I just haven't had the money to spend on ads yet. Okay, but on a personal level, what's been holding you back? This is important. The reason why a prospect doesn't buy, or the reason why they do buy and then end up wanting a refund or a chargeback or get cold feet later, is because you never really addressed the fear. You just got them to the point where they were willing to make a payment, but you never got them to truly overcome the fear that's been holding them back. We don't have business problems, we only have personal problems. And so the reason why your prospects' businesses aren't where they want to be or where their best competitors' business is because they haven't addressed the fears and limiting beliefs they have in their own mind. So on a personal level, John, what's been holding you back? He's not going to tell you, I've just been afraid right out of the gates, because nobody wants to admit they're afraid. Do not move on until the prospect identifies personal fear or procrastination, right? And we can do this by asking 2 questions and looping until they give us the answer. The first question you can ask is, okay, so the reason you're not at X is because of what? Or the reason you're not doing X is because of what? The way we would apply this, right? So on a personal level, what's been holding you back? Well, I felt like there's been better opportunities to spend my money than on ads. Okay, and the reason why you feel like there's better opportunities to spend your money instead of on ads is because of what? Well, probably because I've never spent on ads. And the reason you've never spent on ads is because of what? Because I'm afraid. Okay. The other question you can use to loop here is, when you should be spending on ads and you're not, what's going on in your head? I'm afraid. Okay, perfect. Get them to admit that it's fear or procrastination and do not continue on until you've done that. Then we continue asking questions. And do you feel like if you kept doing things as you are now and we give into that fear and we continue to allow it to be the thing that holds us back, that you're going to be able to hit that $50K a month and achieve your dream outcome, travel the world and become financially free? No, probably not. Got it. And what do you feel would happen if we were to continue as is? Worst case scenario, get them to outline it. If you want to get really fun here, get them to outline it in detail. And what would that look like? Okay, and what do you think would have to happen or change for you to achieve that $50K a month so you can become financially free and travel the world? They're going to explain that to you, and now we're going to establish commitment. They know what they need to change, they know what they need to do to make that change happen, and they know that they've just been afraid. Okay, John, so it sounds like we have to change quite a bit, and usually that change comes with sacrifice. And so what do you think that we're going to have to sacrifice to make those changes? Well, I'm just going to have to overcome my fear. Got it. Anything else? Nope. And are you willing to make that sacrifice? Yes. Got it. And why now? Right? You've had this fear for a while. You've been wanting to grow your business forever. You've always wanted to become financially free and travel the world. So why now? This is also important. Right? We're building a really strong foundation for when we get to the pitch to have no objections, because the best closers don't have objections. They just do really good discovery. They handle the fear and they get them across the line before we pitch the price. Right. And so with that said, are you willing to have me and my team hold you accountable to these changes and commitments? Yes, I am. This will help you when you get to objection overcome. When you handle objections, you usually do nothing but destroy your authority and your rapport, because the person feels like you're just needy, you need the sale, you want their money. If you ask this question, you are in turn asking for their permission to objection overcome them, because the only reason why somebody wouldn't buy from you if they're qualified is because they're afraid. And so when you start going at them for it, and when you start pushing them to make a decision, ideally one that's good for their business, they know they've given you permission to do that. And they know that you're doing it out of a good place as opposed to a place of need and scarcity. Then we move on to identifying their long-term goals, right? So taking a step back, right, looking at things from a bird's eye view, we want to make this change. We can get to that $50K a month, but how does this all contribute to your long-term vision? Because if you don't know where you're going, there's probably no real reason to be going anywhere in the first place, and you're also not going to know when you get to the destination, right? So what do you ultimately want to get out of this when all is said and done, right? Then we go through that whole thing of like business down to personal. Why is this so important to you? How long do you want to do it for? What would your life look like? Got it? And do you see reality where that's possible without solving problems that we talked about and hitting that to hit that goal? No. And what would happen if you weren't able to do it? These are things we've already been over. So now at this point, we understand their current situation, their problems, their dream outcome in the short term and the long term, their goals in the short term and the long term. We've built a pain cycle, increased their desire to achieve a specific goal, increased their perceived pain in their current situation. We've established a value gap, made them realize they have a long way to go to get across that chasm. And now they're just wondering, what can we do to get helped? How can you help me get there? Now, before we even get there, we're going to address some concerns. Because remember, as I said, we don't want to deal with objections after we pitch the price. Because after we pitch the price, they become objections. And really, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Every objection you try to handle, you take one step back with your authority, one step back with your rapport. If we handle those objections before we pitch the price, they become obstacles. And if we remove those obstacles, it actually does the opposite. It puts you one step forward with your rapport. It puts you one step forward with your authority. John, I'm not willing to take that fear. Are we going to overcome that? Yes, we are. If you say that before you pitch the price, it's way better than after. So we're going to do that in section 4. We've gone through discovery. We know everything we need to know to get them to where they need to be. We're going to address the concerns. All right, John, so based on what you told me from a specific service delivery perspective, your business is a perfect fit for what we do. So we can help if you want the help, and I can show you how that works. It's completely up to you. Now, before I do that, John, there are a few things I want to share. I just want to make sure that we prevent them from standing in the way of your success when you do implement the action plan I built for you today. Sound good? And wait for the ask. Yeah, absolutely. Noah, what are those things, right? I want you to pay attention to the 5 main objection types. Notice back here in section 1, 2, and 3, the red flags, right? We're noting down things that will become objections. The 5 main objection types I want to pay attention to are time, value, fit, authority, and avoidance. This is the only real objection. These other ones are just bullshit excuses. I don't think it's the right time for me to do this right now. I want to go think about it. I'm going on vacation. I just don't think it's worth the price that you showed to me. I don't think I'm the right fit for this. It won't work for me. I want to go speak to my wife or my partner. Avoidance and fear will manifest as, I want to think about it. I don't make decisions. I have a rule. I don't make decisions same day. I got to sleep on it. So once we are able to effectively remove these objections, in section 5, you're going to illustrate your unique mechanism, right? What you're going to want to do here is just a messy demo. Do not walk them through a step-by-step technical slide deck, right? Don't sell the technicals. Don't sell the process. Sell the outcome. That's a Russell Brunson thing. Sell the outcome. The value is so much easier to see. If I'm selling you getting $100,000 a month in extra revenue for your business, but I use the same system that I could use to generate $10,000 a month in income, but instead of wrapping it as I'm going to give you this system and then you can go and figure out what you want to do with it, I'm just saying I'm going to get you $100K a month. Everything that I do to get you there is part of the process and it's going to cost you X or Y. The $100K a month offer will be able to be sold for much more because the value is much more tangible. And so what I want you to do is just run through an OKR, right? Very quickly, make sure there's case studies on there. Just show them the process from start to finish. If you don't know what OKR is, search it up. You'll find lots of Google results on this, but just walk them through the process, right? Start to finish. What do you do? What's the timeline from month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4? At the very end, what's the outcome? What's the dream that we're selling? Once you go through this demo, it should take you no longer than 5 to 10 minutes. We're going to move on to a very important part of the call, which is the temp check. This is your last opportunity to remove objections as obstacles before they become objections. So listen, John, I know we covered a lot of information here. How do you feel about the whole process? Are you actually confident that if we were to implement everything we went over in your business, you'd be able to achieve that 50K a month run rate? And the reason I'm asking is because no matter what we do and how perfect of a fit you are, if you're not 100% convicted in this process, it won't work. So I do have your word that after this call, whether we accept you do I have your word that after this call, whether we accept you into our agreement or not, you're going to commit to making the changes we talked about today, the fear, I'm going to start spending on ads, the actions, and scale your business to 50K a month so you can become financially free and travel the world. If you get anything other than yes, absolutely, how do we start? You loop because there's uncertainty. You're smart, right? You might not be a trained FBI negotiator or investigator, but your spidey senses are well attuned to uncertainty. So if you feel anything, make sure you tackle it. Or if you hear words like maybe, probably, think, would, could, that's probably a little bit of uncertainty there. We attack it. And we're going to loop using our temp check and uncertainty removal framework. I'm just going to walk through this start to finish. So John, listen, I'm sensing a bit of uncertainty there, right? I know you said that you're confident that you'll be able to do this and you're going to go make those changes, but I'm not going to let you off the hook. I'm not going to let you take one more day to say yes to that fear and have it be the thing that holds your business back. So to be honest, if we were to work together, no matter what we do on our end or what inputs you make on your end, if you're not 100% convicted in what we do here, it just won't work. So I hope you don't mind me asking, where's that uncertainty coming from? It's going to say, blah, 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 right? Then we're going to hit them with the 3 A's. Again, another Alex Hormozi framework. We hit them with acknowledge, right? Yeah, I totally get it. Gaining clarity on that problem or concern is extremely important. Then we associate their fear around that problem or concern with the most successful people you've worked with. And listen, John, it's honestly a really good thing that you do have that concern because most of our successful partners do as well. Then we ask them a question to clarify further. And what do you think it would take on your end to make it unreasonable for that concern to get in the way of you achieving that 50K a month? When he makes a request, right, you can fulfill on it. Okay. And then we gain commitment once you fulfilled. And is that commitment something you think would be reasonable to make, right? What would it take on your end? Provide it. And then are you willing to make that commitment? Yes, I am. Awesome. Are you willing to make that commitment so we can make it unreasonable for that problem to get in the way of you achieving that dream outcome? Yes. And are you ready to make that commitment now? Yes, I am. Then contextualize this with our service. So I guess with you making that commitment in addition to everything we do on our end, would you agree that it would be reasonable for us not to make 50K a month a reality? No, I don't think so. I think we can make that happen. Right? Again, pay attention to the certainty. 100%? Yes, 100%. Okay, so with that in mind, is there anything else that's standing in the way of you having 100% conviction in what we do here working together and anything that's preventing you from hopping off this call and actioning on everything we talked about immediately? Right? No, I'm going to do this. Okay, so I got your word? Yes, I do. That's how this framework works. Once you get to this contextualize with your service, pay attention. If they still have any uncertainty, loop back to the start. Keep working through this until they have 100% certainty. That's your temp check. Don't ask any of that stupid, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling? This is a much easier way to do it, right? Just use your spidey senses. It comes across way less salesy. Once they're in a position where they're good to go, right? Where do you want to go from here? Well, what does it cost to work with you guys? I thought you'd never ask, right? Wait for them to ask for the price, right? If you ask them this question, where you want to go from here, and they still have more questions for you, well, they're not ready to hear the price yet. So make sure they have all the information, then we tell them the price. Where do you want to go from here? How much does it cost? Okay, so I just want to make sure we're on the same page for our team to get you to that 50K a month so you can travel the world and become financially free. What we do to get you there is 1, 2, and 3. Just break it down very simply. We're going to run your Facebook ad campaigns, we're going to build your CRM, and then we're going to help you hire and place sales talent so that we can close those deals and get you to that 50K a month as fast as possible. Same page, or did I miss anything? No, man, that sounds awesome. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Awesome. Then you hit them with a guarantee. So we do have a guarantee, which means, and outline what the guarantee does, then outline best case, worst case. So that means worst case scenario, you're going to get all of this stuff, systems, experience, time, potentially deals closed, entirely for free if we're doing a money back guarantee, right? Best case scenario, we do everything together, we hit that 50K a month, you're traveling the world, right? So listen, John, to do all that and to get you to short-term dream outcome in the next 180 days, the one-time investment on your end would be $99.80. And these are examples of a pricing table, but make sure you have this for your sales team. You're gonna have a prepay option, your split pay options, a financing option if you have buy now, pay later, which I definitely recommend, all the way down. And if you're really smart, you have payment links so that your closers don't accidentally send the wrong link and lose you out on some cash collected that would have otherwise been yours. Now, this is when objection is going to come up. So if the objections come up, we're going to get into our objection removal framework. So typically, once you get to the end of this price pitch, you're going to get, I need to think about it. I want to talk to my wife. I want to review the contract. Send it to me. Okay, absolutely. We can do that. Putting money and everything else to the side for a second, how do you feel in terms of getting your business to 50K a month and achieving that dream outcome? Do you believe with 100% conviction that having our help is the best way for your business to get there and that it's 100% going to work? Right? Use your spidey senses again. Is there any uncertainty here? If they have uncertainty, right? I'm sensing uncertainty. Where's that coming from? Right? If they don't have this, they don't believe that your service is going to work. If you've done your time check right, this shouldn't be a problem. If they have 100% conviction, your spidey senses aren't tingling, then continue on, right? We're going to talk about time and logistical objections. Don't let them bring the objections to you. Remove them yourself and just continue on. Okay, so if you believe with 100% conviction that having our help is the best way for your business to get to your dream outcome and that it is 100% going to work, are you confident that now is the best time to do this? Like, do you have the time to commit to it and actually believe that now is the right time for your business to commit to something like this? If they say, no, I don't, well, go and handle the time objection right here. If they say, absolutely, I do. Okay, awesome. What makes you say that? People will just sometimes say things, make sure you lock them down, tie them down, commit them to it. Okay, so money aside, personally, are you 100% in on making the changes to your business to get it to dream outcome right now? Yes, I am. Last one is value. Got it. So hypothetically, if someone was to drop a duffel bag with $10,000 in cash in it on your front doorstep today, would you invest it in this accelerator or this engagement without a second thought? Like, you wouldn't rather throw it into S&P 500, crypto, or some other BS agency or program. They're going to say yes or no. Again, if there's uncertainty, make sure that you handle that. Got it. So I am right in assuming that you believe with 100% certainty that this is the best investment you can make for yourself and your business and that you see value in it, as in you'd see a significant return on investing that cash. Hypothetically, of course. Yes, I do. Okay, and we're both on the same page that this is the best place to focus on investing for you in your business? Yes, I am. Yes, we are. Then we get into others, right? If they don't have a partner objection, they didn't say I want to talk to my wife, don't bring this up because if you do, you don't want to create an objection. But if they do, you can go through this overcome. And given we're both on the same page, if it was solely your decision, you'd be processing payment and moving forward right now. Yes, I would, right? But I need to speak with my wife. Right, so looping back to your partner for a second, can I ask a bit of a personal question, right? And then you can get into your partner objection removal. Again, I'm not going to go over our specific objection removals for these things on this video, but I will create a video and link it in the bio when it's done. Last but not least, the only thing that matters is the money, right? This is also the easiest thing to figure out. If you can get past these fear objections of distrust, uncertainty, time, others, all this stuff, the money is easy to figure out. And we've already tied them down, right? So look, most of our partners prepay for the accelerator or for this engagement, but for certain partners, depending on their situation, we break it up. So are you open to having an honest conversation financially, getting everything on the table so we can see if there's a way to make this work now, or at the very least, put a plan in place to work toward it in the future? Yeah, I think so, Joe. Okay, so this, just for context, is from Cole Gordon. It works very well. So if you're scared about asking these questions, you don't trust me, trust Cole Gordon. Now we're gonna figure out what their situation is because we're gonna logistically move toward them being able to make a commitment. Got it. And so first thing first, what's your net income in cash for the next 30 days? What's your cash on hand right now? What about your credit for your BNPL, right? And do you really believe this is the thing you wanna do? Yes, I do. If they don't have the money in their account at all, right? They have no income in cash, they have no cash on hand, they have no credit. Well, you probably don't want to put them in a situation where they're not able to pay for their rent or put food in their mouth. So then we can move on to our split pay options, right? If you haven't been able to figure out how to get them across the line by this point, Well, look, I don't think the best thing for you to do is prepay for this, right? The $10,000 is probably a little bit too much, especially if it's going to zero you out. But I also don't think it's the best thing for you to do if you just sit there and do nothing. So what if we could make this work with half down today and the other half in a month from now? That way you can sign a couple clients, get a couple deals across the line, get some cash in so that by the next payment in 30 days from now, it's just more of an afterthought than anything else. If I was able to make that happen for you, would you be able to move forward today? Start with your highest prepayment first and then work your way down. Right? Because if you start from the bottom, you work your way up, they're only going to hear the cheapest price, and that's going to be what you have a conversation about. Once you're through that, you're good to go. We're just going to remove any avoidance objections and get them rolling. So what are we waiting for? Let's get you onboarded. How do you want to do this? Credit or debit? Right? Just assume the close. Let's get them rolling. You can also ask, okay, cool. Well, we'll start by collecting your phone number and continuing from there. Just keep moving, keep the ball rolling. If you need to book a follow-up, let's say they don't have access to information that is very key to them making a good decision for their business. I would definitely recommend watching my show rate video below because this is covered there, but I'll just quickly cover it here as well. Right? Awesome. Well, let's get that follow-up book for tomorrow. One last thing, when we chat, I'll go over 2 specific case studies of our clients in your industry and exactly where we started with them, what we implemented, and what their ROI was within the first 6 months of us working together. Plus, we'll talk about more payment options that will make it easier for you to break this investment up. And really, I still have quite a bit to cover with you, so don't feel like you have to come to the next call with any sort of decision. Diffuse the pressure. All I want to do with you is for you to come to that call with questions. We're going to cover those and the rest of the information I have for you, and then we can see what the best decision is for you and whether this is something that we can act on now or something we can work toward in the future. No worries either way. Sound good? This will help get your show rates up. Just remember, the best sales teams are the ones with the highest show rates. So once you get through this, you're on to the next, right? You've either collected payment, you've gotten a surefire no, or you've booked a follow-up to chat about how we could potentially make this work. And that brings us to the end of the video. Hopefully I provided you as much value as possible. If you have any questions on what we covered today, drop them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer as best as I can and as fast as I can, and I'll catch you in the next one.